I know The Last of Us is the talk of the town right now, and I'm not one for jumping on trends, but I am one for expressing my love for certain games, and I need to get this off my chest, so what better time than to do it right now. So just let me take you back to the first time I played The Last of Us. Unfortunately, sometimes you can play a game incorrectly. You can complete a game but completely miss all the good stuff. You can beat a game but miss the point. And there's no better way to express my experience playing The Last of Us than I did it wrong. Sometimes it's about the journey and not the destination. Even though I enjoyed the game a lot, and I liked some of it, it touched my heart a little bit, I missed a lot of the little things that made Ellie and Joel's relationship so endearing. There was even a time I would play it and not even be listening to the gameplay. I would literally have a podcast going. I could never see myself doing that now, but that's how I played it for a little bit until I realized the error of my ways. 3 years pass and Last of Us 2 comes out. And I like The Last of Us enough to want to know what they do with the story, so I figured let's play Last of Us 2. And I somehow managed to avoid all the spoilers going into it. And there was something about The Last of Us 2, man, that really clicked with me. And honestly, I think it was a perfect storm. Maybe it was the fact that it was 2020 and people were shitty, and I was out of work, and The Last of Us 2 was my new game at the time, so it was my escape from reality at the time. And I remember exactly where I was when I realized how much I was enjoying myself. It was when I was taking my time in Seattle just exploring the world. I was enjoying the journey and not really worrying about the destination. And man, was I rewarded for doing so. And because I got so invested in Ellie's drive for vengeance, everything mattered that much more. Which, to be honest, not everything clicked for me in The Last of Us 1. This game genuinely broke my heart, and I loved it for that. Like, damn, this game made me feel shit. Which was why I was so frustrated with people and their reactions to this game. I mean, I guess you're entitled to your opinion, but to honestly say from the bottom of your heart that this game isn't good, is absolutely bonkers to me. Does it challenge you as a gamer to make you empathize with the person you're not supposed to like? Yes, very much so. It's asking a lot from you, and it can be depressing as fuck. And it's especially depressing to watch a character that you've grown to love struggle so much. But in my eyes, there is a light in the darkness. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I love it so. Because it challenges me. Because it's dark. Because it makes me feel things. But I have come to realize that not everybody wants that. Don't get me wrong, I like my dumb fun as much as the next guy, but sometimes I want more. And this game does a lot for me. Especially back when I first played it. So now we get to the whole reason as to why I'm writing this.
I would do it all over again.
With The Last of Us on my mind thanks to HBO, I found it fitting to replay The Last of Us 2, with a little less stealth and a lot more brutality. And while that was fun, I found out really early that even though I felt like I was over all the emotions I had for that game, when it was just me and these characters once again, I felt their pain as much as I did the first time I seen it, if not even more so. So much so, I even had new thoughts popping up in my head, with hindsight being 2020. I mean, as soon as Ellie and Joel start to interact, it was just like, man, as soon as Ellie and Joel share a screen together, you can tell things are awkward, and Joel's trying really hard to fix things. I mean, that girl is literally his whole world. He just can't help himself. And that thought kept popping up in my head too. The idea that these characters just can't help it. And that goes back all the way to The Last of Us 1. Joel tried. Joel had his walls up. He closed people off. But he just couldn't help it. Because he's a human freaking being, he couldn't help but become attached to this girl. And he didn't ask for it. It just kind of happened, and Ellie didn't make it easy. Bit by bit, she broke his walls down. So much so, there was no going back. Which makes this scene hurt so much. He's trying so hard, man. Like, damn. And you can tell by just looking into her eyes that she cares a lot for this man, regardless of whatever she's feeling at the time. And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way, but Ashley Johnson breaks my freaking heart in this game. So whenever I say anything about Ellie, just know that I mean Ashley as well. For all intents and purposes, she is Ellie. And speaking of which,
Talking away. I don't
The whole idea of, oh man, what could have been, kept popping up in my head. Knowing all the things that Ellie goes through throughout the game, certain things started to hurt a little bit more. Kind of like, oh man, if she would have just found a way to honor Joel's life through music. Oh man, what could have been? Or, oh man, what could have been if she would have just been in the moment more with Dina and learned to let go of her guilt? Oh man, what could have been? But, unfortunately, she just couldn't help it. And Joel didn't make it easy. I mean, for all his faults, he was her one constant. They went through some shit together. And even though they never said it, Ellie loved Joel and Joel loved Ellie. And that makes shit difficult. For as beautiful as that sounds, it truly is a double-edged sword. They both gave each other something to fight for. And that's only good for one thing. Upon finishing The Last of Us 2, I had this overwhelming desire to play The Last of Us 1 again. And, oh my god.
You alright?
I'm trying to learn how to whistle.
You don't know how to whistle.
Well, does it sound like I know how to whistle?
I am so disappointed in myself for missing the point for so long. It really is about the journey, regardless of the destination. If you don't stop to smell the roses and take your time, you will miss so many little details that make Ellie and Joel's relationship so endearing. Like, dude, I'd forgotten she even had a pun book, and I love puns. How did I miss that? I guess I figured if I just played the game how I played most games in my life, I would get all the story that I would need to appreciate it. Boy, was I wrong. And one of the things I didn't really appreciate is Ellie's loyalty. And that's not even to a fault. She is as loyal as they come. When Sam and Henry run off, she didn't hesitate to drop back down with Joel. She ain't leaving that man. On the other side of the coin, when she feels like she's been slighted or disrespected, she expresses herself. She holds him accountable. And that is such a good detail. You'd miss it if you don't pay attention. When Ellie shot that man to save Joel's life, and Joel just claps back with disrespect, she don't appreciate that. Which makes all the sense in the world because she trusts him, but she's pissed because he don't trust her yet. And she feels like she's earned it.
Alright. God. Damn, this is heavier than I thought. Hey, how about a hand?
You sure you can trust me with that?
Ellie.
And because she holds him accountable, he breaks, and he realizes his mistake.
How about something a little more your size? It's for emergencies only.
But in typical Joe fashion,
Okay.
he screws up again.
Get up. We're leaving.
And if I say no?
Do you even realize what your life means? Huh? Running off like that, putting yourself at risk? It's pretty goddamn stupid.
Well, I guess we're both disappointed with each other then.
This is one of my favorite scenes in the whole game. In her own roundabout way here, she says that she cares about Joel. She's not mad, she's just disappointed, and her feelings are hurt. She cares for Joel and expresses her frustration here, and it's a hard conversation, but it needs to happen. For Ellie and for Joel. And because she expresses her fear here, it gets through to Joel and makes him realize how wrong he was for almost turning his back on her. And it was at this point that there was no turning back. Even though they've had growing pains, she comes to realize there is nobody else she'd rather go on this adventure with. And that's the thing that gets me about all this, is that these two didn't ask for this. Like Ellie said.
Hey, fuck you, man. I didn't ask for this.
Me neither.
Like they both said. But their paths crossed, and against the odds, their bond became unbreakable.
What about you? What'd you want to be?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to want to be a singer.
Shut up.
No, serious.
Sing something.
No,
Come on, I won't laugh.
I don't think so.
Joel, please.
Promise me that you won't laugh.
I won't laugh. I won't.
I'm trusting you.
And I know a lot of people don't like The Last of Us 2, but in my eyes, this is a case where both games enhance the other. Joel's death carries so much more weight when you remember how much Joel means to her, how much she trusts him, how much she relies on him, how much she respects him, and how much she cares for him, regardless of his faults, which makes Ellie's descent into brutal killer a lot more sad when you think back to the gleam in her eye that she once had. And I'm aware that each person will have their own experience with these games and these characters, but I wouldn't trade mine for anything. I used to say The Last of Us 2 is one of my favorite games out there, and I stand by that, but now I'm putting Last of Us 1 right next to it. And no, don't ask me how I feel about what Joel did, because I just can't. Joel made it very clear he was not leaving without her. If it was up to him, all those little moments that he had with her, they last forever. They've killed for each other, they've fought for each other, they've literally saved each other's lives on multiple occasions. So, to Joel, there was no other option. All I gotta say to wrap this video up is I want more games like these. I want more games that challenge me, make me look deep, and pull out this kind of emotion out of me, because it doesn't happen very often. These games are special at their core, and I can't wait for The Last of Us 3 if it ever comes. And if by chance maybe you didn't get the same feeling out of these games that I did, maybe go back and play it a different way, because I promise you, there truly is no denying the view.